Hello my lovely nestlings and welcome to another mandala video. Me and the kitty cat, so she's here on my lap, are saying welcome. Today I'm going to create the first of a series. It's a new series that I'm going to do here on my channel and it's a gray and yellow. So let me give you a little bit of backstory on the painting that I'm going to create today. One of my favorite makeup combinations, if you don't know, I also have a makeup channel and I've been doing that for 5 years, is gray and yellow. I love that combination so much, especially a bright yellow. So I really wanted to create a mandala reflecting that, and this one came out. I loved it so much, and everyone that I showed it to as well, that I was like, I think I'm going to make this into a series, because gray is just such a, you can create so much depth with just a gray palette, and then if you add an accent color, so that's what I'm going to do. So today the first one is gray and yellow, the next one will be gray and orange. I already know that. I will also do a gray and pink, but if you have any color combinations that you want me to do, so any accents for the gray, to add to the gray, let me know down below in the comment section. For now, grab all your artsy stuff if you're going to paint along with me, because we are getting started right now. Welcome to another video. I hope that the frame looks okay in the canvas looks okay on camera. On my monitor it looks a little bit weird, but let's hope it's okay. I don't know what's happening. This is a 25 by 25 centimeter or roughly 10 inch by 10 inch square canvas board that I'm going to paint today. I got this at a local store at Action. If you live in the Netherlands or you have an Action, maybe they have these. They come in a 3-pack, but you can basically grab any surface that you want to paint on. You can also do these on wooden rounds and then just, you know, stop before I do the corners. I am going to mix my own paint today because I don't have gray paint. However, I do have white and black. So let's go over the paint that I pulled. So these two are the main focus of the day. The Decoart Americana in titanium white, snow titanium white, and multi-surface in pure black. The reason that I'm combining these two is because my white is very liquidy and this one is a little bit more thick. So I hope that by mixing the two I can get the consistency that I want. So we will have those. I also pulled white pearl. I love white pearl. I actually have it in a container because I use it quite a bit. Also from Americana. And then I pulled the silver, the multi-surface metallic in silver. I have shade bright yellow, also from Decoart, as you can see. And I have this. Now, I know if you're in America, you can get the flash paints probably. This is kind of the equivalent that I found on Amazon. So this is from the brand Ideen meet Hertz, which is a German brand, and this is the Royal Flash in metallic yellow. If you don't have these specific colors, but you have a white and a black, you know, and maybe a yellow somewhere, you can just use whatever you have. I also have some new brushes in. So this is actually the brush that I painted with up until now. I don't know where it's from. I have no idea. But I ordered this set on AliExpress and it was actually 6 brushes, but there are 3 the same. So I have 1 0, 2 zeros and 3 zeros. So it will be the 1, 2 and the 3. So I'm going to try these out today as well. They're probably a little bit too thin for what I am looking for, especially in a longer one, but we will see. Then I have nail stylus tools, and I will tell you the sizes that I'm using. And I also have the dotting rods by Happy Dotting Company. Yeah, the next thing that you will need is a stencil. Or at least you don't have to, but it's easier. So the stencil that I will be using today is a 16 point stencil. I need to get my compass. I have a compass and I have a pencil somewhere. So this is a white chalk pastel pencil. And that's what I'm using today, unless it doesn't want to play nice, but yeah, never mind. So first we're going to start with finding the center. And how do I do that? I know this is 25 centimeters, so I line it up with the bottom of the board. And then mark off 12.5. So that's how I do that. Let's put those to the side. Oh, everything is falling. And then I'm going to do that on the other side as well. I have no idea where the Lazy Susan is from. I think also from Action. Then also 12.5. Then I'm going to connect the 2 points. Okay, so I'm going to do it again here, 12.5. And you can also mark the corners, but the corners on these boards can be a little bit not exactly 90 degrees. So that is why I'm doing it this way. And then lining up the points again. And now I should have my center. So I'm actually grabbing my compass now. And I'm going to do this now. So I'm going to put it on the center that I made. But I'm going to check if it is really the center. These boards can warp a little bit. So that is why I'm doing this. So if I then kind of have the center, I'm just going to really push down. So that when I make all the rest of the lines, I know where my center is already. So now I can just feel with the compass, you know, the pointy end. Okay, I'm grabbing my stencil now, and because these markings are the cutouts are pretty wide, I just line up the stencil, and I have to extend all the lines anyway, so I'm just making basically a dot in the beginning of all those markings, and again I have to extend them anyway. Okay, then let's grab the first one, and these are about 1/2 inch apart, but I'll just make one so I know where to start. Then I'm going to connect all the dots. And make sure that they also go through the center. You don't have to pull the pencil in through the center, but just make sure that it goes through the center as well. And then here on the corners, I will move my board down a little bit. My ruler isn't long enough. So what I do is I line the ruler up with the point, the center, and then the other point, and then the corner. And then that way I will have the corner divided, and I'm going to then extend the ruler down, and I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, and then we're getting the compass. Oh no, first I'm going to mark off where the guidelines will be. So this ruler that I have, one side is centimeters and the other side is inches. I know it's 1/2 inch, so I'm just going to yeah, it's basically from this point to there 1.2 centimeters, or roughly 1/2 inch. I'm just going to make some extra markings at basically 1.2 centimeters. And I can usually fit 9 here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the 9th one, the last one, should come all the way to that part, to the outside. No, I already made the center, right? So I can just find that with the compass, and we'll make the first one. And I'm just putting it on the line that I made. I need the pencil to be a little bit lower, like that. And then I flatten it because it just works better for me, and then I just turn the Lazy Susan. So instead of holding the pencil straight like this, I actually do this. I don't know why, but I've always done it this way. It just works a little bit better for me, and just makes it that it doesn't slip and slide around, usually at least. Now you will probably see that the lines skip here and there. It's because it's a canvas board, because of the texture of the canvas, but that's okay. And then the other one is probably, yeah, going to be almost all the way to the bottom, or the outside of the canvas. So if you have a circular board of around 10 inches, that would basically be your outer rim. I do want to have some rings closer in as well. So where I started with those dots, with the guide marks, I'm going to place one. Just a few more in here. I just preferred it. Also helps me to line up basically the tool that I will be using. I'm just going to create a few lines in the very center, and I'm also going to go roughly halfway in between the guide marks I already have. You don't have to do this. I've also worked with patterns that don't have as many circular guidelines, but I don't know, I just prefer to have a bunch of circular guidelines. It just helps me to line up the pattern a little bit better. But you do whatever you feel comfortable. And even if you have a lot of guidelines, you don't have to use them all also. Except the vertical ones or the straight ones. Those are important for the shape of the pattern. The circular ones are for the height of the pattern, so that every element is the same height basically. Okay, so there's that, and that is that. Now I'm going to mix paints, and what I actually have is I have this, which is just an empty top thingy, and I'm going to pre-mix kind of a darker, I wanted to say orange, I don't know why I wanted to say orange, but I apparently want to say orange, darker gray, basically the darkest gray that I'm going to use, so I can then use that to lighten up the other grays. This bottle is almost empty. I'm just going to make sure that that tub is kind of filled up. I think for the darkest color this is okay. And then I also have these, which are very small version. These are 5 milliliter pots. So I'm just going to mix everything up in there. Okay, so I'm just going to scoop some. This is actually I think it's a tapas, I don't know what it's called, but I'm going to scoop some in here for the darkest color. And what I like about these tiny bottles is that when I'm not painting, I can just close the lid and the paint stays good. And when I'm done, I can leave them open and basically let them dry out, and I can remove the paint quite easily. Okay, I think something like this. And then like that, and then here a tiny bit, like so. And then I'm just going to add some white. Like that, and then we will stir again. Probably need to stir with a paintbrush, so let me grab a paintbrush that I can stir with. And I do want to have a nice gradient. think I want this one. Do I want it lighter or darker? I think I want it a little lighter. So let's add some white. It could be that that one is too dark, but we will see. And this one I want a little bit lighter, and also this one. And then instead of a matte white, I'll use white pearl. Yes, I think this is kind of it. So what I am going to pour in is my yellow, because I have white pearl just already in a separate container. I don't need to add it here, but I am going to use my bright yellow. Like that. Ooh, this color story really makes me happy. I am going to start with the white pearl and the 15 dotting rod. And I'm going to aim for the center. Oh, I think that's actually pretty good. I'm going to add some paint. So I'm basically scooping it up out of the jar. And then with the side, I'm going to tap more paint on in the center, like that. Let's clean the tool. Then I'm grabbing my stylus and just swirl to kind of distribute the paint evenly. Yeah, that's better. Okay, next I'm going to go to the what shall we do? Shall we go to the one which is the my pink tool? So if you have this set, the 1mm should be the pink as well. So I'm going to use the smaller end of the pink, and I'm going to go to the yellow. And we're going to make our first row of dots. Oh, that one is a little bit bigger, so I'm going to make this one bigger as well. You don't want them to touch, but you want them close together. And I'm making tapping motions. Basically, I place my tool down first, and then I make tapping motions to unload a little bit more paint, and that way the dots will be a little bit bigger. We're aiming to get all the dots the same size, but if they're not, don't worry about it. So I can see that my dots are starting to touch. So what I'm going to grab is one of these, and I'm going to wetten it a little bit and then just remove paint. I'm just going to redo that row. It happens. So I'm just leaving a little bit more space between the dots. This canvas board has texture, so sometimes it will add to the flow of the paint and will make, well, the dots warp a little bit. When it's all said and done, you don't see it, but yeah, if the dots touch, especially with a color like this, I just prefer to redo that row. I want to make this one, some of the dots I want to make a hint bigger if I can. I think something like that. Okay, That's cute. That's cute. And now I'm going to go in a gradient. I did actually add extra white here because it was looking very, very dark. I used the pink. I'm going to go, or the smallest side of the pink, I'm going to go to the other side of the pink tool, which is a 1.5 millimeter, and I'm going to go to the lightest gray. Let's see how light it is. Maybe I need to lighten it up even more. And I'm going to go in between the dots of the previous row. I'm not tapping this time, or at least not too much, because my white is very liquidy. So I think I could even make that one lighter, but that is okay. I'm going to go up a size to the 2 millimeter, which is my green tool, which is the largest end. And I'm going also to go up a color, so I'm going to go to a shade darker. We're going to do the same thing again. Oh, that's very liquidy. And I don't have a gel medium to make it thicker. So I'm aiming in between the row of the previous dots, the previous row of dots, but if I fail, I'm just going to kind of follow this circular guide mark that I have here. So here these two are touching. I'm going to leave it, and then when it's set a little bit, I'm going to just put a little bit of black paint, scrape a little bit out between or whatever. I'm going to go to 2.5 millimeter, which is my purple one. And if you have the ones with the swirly, that one, it will be your blue tool. And I'm going to go to the largest size and one shade up. I'm just going to try and leave a little bit more room between these because, yeah, I don't want them to flow into each other, and we can fill up the space later anyway with some micro dots. And then when there's a little bit more space between the dots, I'm kind of making them a little bit more oval shaped. So that's how I cheated the system a little bit. I think we'll do one more row with the darkest color. So I'm going to go to the big large side of the green tool, which is a 3 millimeter. This paint should be a little bit thicker because it has more black in it. Again. Okay. Yeah, I definitely want to lighten up the color palette, so I'm going to add a little bit more white to everything. Basically want that gray to be the darkest gray that we have, kind of. I'm going to do some micro dots with white pearl because I have enough space to do that. So I want a very small tool, the 0. No, that's the wrong one. I want a 0.8 and the white pearl. I can even make those bigger. I'm going to place dots in between some of the dots that we just made. So this row and also the one lighter. That will brighten up the center a little bit more. I'm cleaning off my tool, and I'm going to dip in, but a little bit, so that I can fit dots in between here, because the space is less. So I'm not loading up my tool as much as with the previous row. And you could do these types of dots throughout all the entire center. If you have enough space for that, you can just do that all the way in as well, if you want to. Let's grab a 5.5, the lightest gray, and I'm going to start at this guide mark first to see how big the dots will be. Now we can do, I think we can do every guide mark, but I'm going to start with every other guide mark first to see how much spacing I will have. I'm going to walk the dots first and then see kind of how much spacing I have, because I'm not really sure. I also want to incorporate mirrors, so we're going to go to the pearl first, and let's go to 1 millimeter, which is the small end of the pink tool, for me at least. I'm going to walk the dots. Now I'm going to go to the other side of this tool and the yellow. The other side is a 1.5. And I'm going to place a top dot first, but you see that guide mark here? It has a little bit more space between that one and that one. So I want to have a little bit of space in between these. So I'm going to place it a little bit below the guide mark. You can also say above. I don't know, it's just for me that this is above the guide mark and this is below the guide mark. It's because I work here, but if you're working, it doesn't matter. You have this guide mark, it's a little bit less, more towards the outside of the... Yes? Yes. I'm just going to place top dots first. We're going to walk the dots, yes. So because there's a little bit of space now, it makes for a more pointed petal. I love the contrast of the yellow and the gray. Oh yes, and I don't know if you can hear the seagulls. I live at the Dutch coast and my window is open and they are having quite a party. So we also have a crow's nest on the house just basically across the street, and our streets are small, so it could be that you hear that as well. I don't know. I like seagulls, what can I say? Especially the big ones that we have here. The gray ones. They are actually an endangered species. So, if you didn't know that. So basically what we call the seagull here, the bigger ones, those are endangered birds. And the Dutch word for that type of seagull is zeemeeuw. So you learned something extra. Do we want to do another walking the dots, or do we want to do brush strokes? I think I want another walking the dots, so I'm going to go to, this was to the 2 millimeter, which is my green one, and I'm going to go to, so basically I have the lightest gray. So I'm going to go to the second lightest gray now. And I'm going to do the same thing again. So I'm going to make that top dot a little bit higher. Let's just do that all the way around. And that can also be a bit bigger. So And then I'm going to walk the dots again. Okay, I'm going to do some brush strokes and see if I can kind of work with the new brushes. So I am going to use this one, which is the, let's call it the number 3 because it has 3 zeros, and it's about the length of, how long is it? I don't know. Can you see? If I hold it like this, can you see how long it is? I hope so. And then for the centimeters, it is, can I see that? It is 1.7, kind of, maybe 1.8, something like that. So let's wet the brush. The color I want to use for this is, well, basically the next one up. I'm going to start with not a lot of paint on my tool. Ooh, that's a pretty brush stroke. Go me. Go me. So if you, I follow a Thoughtful Dots on YouTube. I will link her channel down below. She actually has a course on how to do brush strokes, but basically you have to make sure that your wrist can kind of move, right? So you put your paintbrush down and then press, drag it, and then basically pull it off the canvas, if that makes any sense. However, my brush strokes one way are easier than the other way. So I can see this one is a lot thicker than that one, but that is okay. We're going to run with it. So I actually want a little bit less paint. Yes, maybe I can do it like this, so I have a little bit more room to move my wrist. I know people have commented that my hand is very steady. It's actually not really, but this just takes practice. That is a little bit easier. Practice and patience, and I'm going to end them all on that guide mark. That was the color that I wanted. So the funny thing is that for me it's actually easier to do them up, so to go that way instead of that way, and then if I have to go down, this way is easier than that way. Why? I don't know. It probably has to do with my anatomy. So I'm actually trying something by putting my hand underneath so that I have a little bit more room to make that curve. Oh, that kind of works, which is cool. Here I don't really need it, but I will link this brush set down below for you if you want to check it out. The most nerve-wracking part is always putting the brush on the canvas the first time. When I'm basically moving the brush around, it's okay, but also always that first part. I'm still learning these brush strokes myself, and every time I'm doing them, they get better and better. That looks pretty. Okay. I have mirrors in a box. So let me show you the ones that I have, because the ones that you guys can get on Amazon if you live in the USA, they're bigger than the ones that I have. So basically the ones that I have are these. Those, which is, let me measure how basically long they are. They are, I don't know, I think 3/4 inch or something like that. They are basically, I think they're 2 centimeter long, and the ones that most mandala artists, at least the ones that I follow, use are 2 inches long, which is basically this length. So it's very much one size up. So, and if you don't have any mirrors at all, you can just make a diamond shape. I want them like that. Let's see. Do I want them higher? Let's measure it with these. You don't go in the paint. I think like this. I think this is the correct placement. So you have the brush strokes end on this guide mark, and then the center of the diamond will go on this guide mark. And I will use this size to transfer, because it doesn't matter if I place one that's a little bit smaller on top. You just get a little bit more negative space between them, but it does not really matter. So whatever you want, otherwise we'll probably get this. So if you have smaller diamonds like this as well, you would have more space. So I will probably move it up a little and then have them end the center on that guide mark. But again, it does not matter. It doesn't matter at all. So I'm going to trace this one, and I'll probably glue on the smaller ones. I'm waiting for bigger ones, but I don't know when they will get here. Let me get my pencil. So basically what you do is if you don't have these, the way that I used to do it, I would just get my ruler. I would just place it here, measure 2 inches in length, then 1/2 inch in width, and then draw the diamond shape all myself. That's how I used to do it. But now I have these. You can also just do a triangle if you want to. And then because I know it ends here, I'm just going to do that. So I'm just eyeballing it a bit, but it is all okay. So let's remove that. I just need the top one then. So if you have made the inner guide marks, it's 4. If you haven't, it's 2 guide marks. If you don't have mirrors, as I said, you can just fill this in with paint if you want to. So now I'm going to walk the dots. And for that, I am going to use pearl. And we're going to get the, let's get a 1.5. So I'm placing that top dot again first, and then I'm just going to walk the dots. Okay, the next step is going to be completely optional. Because my mirrors are so tiny, I'm actually going to do another row of walking dots inside the pearl to frame the mirror pieces that I have a little bit better. If you don't want to do that or have bigger mirror pieces, just skip this part. I think I'm going to use the lightest gray for that, and the I'm going to go to 2mm. Is this a 2mm? Yes. And I'm going to place, let's place dot first. Just in that center part. Okay, and then I'm going to walk the dots inside this triangle. Just because that would be a little bit of a better fit from the mirror that I have. You can also do this and close it up that way if you want to. That would be cool as well. Now I'm going to do some brush strokes, and I'm going to start with the same brush that I used, so the smaller one of the set. I am going to start with the lightest gray. And I'm going to start at the top and go that way. Down. Darn it, I have my wrist the wrong way. Something like that. That's better. That was the way that it's supposed to look. And I'm going to end them all on the guide mark that's just below the dot. So this one. Next, I'm going to go to one shade darker. These brush strokes are going to be a little bit shorter. I'm going to go one shade darker. And I'm going to go shorter as well, so kind of aim for that guide mark here. And I do want to leave a little gap on this guide mark. And that means that I'm letting some brush strokes overlap a little bit more, so that I have the space still there to put some yellow swooshes in. Okay, next I'm going to go to the yellow. If I can open up my pot. Oh dear. I left the white ones or the gray ones open so that they could kind of dry out a little bit, but now I need to open the yellow. Ah, there. The yellow one, I'm a little bit messy. Okay, I'm going to go to the large end of the green tool, which is a green millimeter. And I'm going to make a dot. There. And then drag up with the other side of the stylus tool. Like that. Then I am grabbing my 1.5 millimeter, which is the other side of this tool, and I'm going to basically dot and drag. So I have some paint on my tool. I'm going to dot and then immediately drag just a little bit in to fill that space a little bit more. I'm going to do one side first, because that's just easier for me. And if you feel like you have a lot on your tool, just wipe off your tool. You can also grab a smaller stylus tool if you want to. Next, I am going to go to another dotting rod, and we're going to grab the 8.5, and I think a darker gray, so not the darkest gray but one lighter. And right above this swoosh I'm going to place it like that on top of every swoosh. And if you get ripples, it's probably because either your paint is too thick or there's not enough paint on your tool. Then I'm going to go to Pearl, and I'm going to walk the dots again with a 1.5mm stylus. Next I am going to go to the lightest gray with a 2mm. I'm going to walk the dots again. First dot is going to be a little bit higher, and I'm really unloading my tool. So that we get a little point again. Next, I want to incorporate a little bit more yellow. So I'm going to go to the yellow with, I used the 2, right? I'm going to go to the 2.5 and the yellow. I'm going to walk the dots again. Maybe making it quite a large top dot. I'm going to switch to the 3 actually. I need a bigger tool. First 1.5 to finish this one off. So the 3mm. And I'm also using the other side, which is a 1.5, if I need a little bit smaller dots. Brush strokes again, but I think I want one size up. Let's try that one. Okay, so the last brush I used was this length, and now I'm going to go for one that's longer. It's the same thickness, but it is longer, and we're going to go to the first brush stroke with the, let's go from dark to light. So let's go to the darkest first, and I'm going to start there and go, oh, but I had the darkest there. No, not the darkest, I think, I don't know. I'm going to go to the darkest for the first brush stroke. Let's see what we can do. Okay, not too shabby. Then I'm going to go to Pearl again, and let's go to the 2mm. I'm going to walk the dots up halfway on that brush stroke. Another brush stroke, same brush as before, And now I'm going to go to one shade lighter, and I'm going to frame the petal again. Oh, we zijn er al. We are already there, and I can fit one more brush stroke in. I actually think I can fit 2 in, but I have to be careful in the center. I'm going to go one shade lighter. I'm going to try and make this a little bit less wide, so I have room for one more after this. So if I have to overlap the previous color to keep that space, that's fine. Okay, I'm going to go to that flash yellow. Same brush. Let's see if this will work. So I'm going to start at the bottom of the petal, so at the tip. And then frame it up like that. Maybe I need to go over it again when it's dry and redo it to get it a little bit more popping, but it's actually the first time that I'm doing brush strokes with this paint. And we're going, these ones start at the last guide mark. So if you have a circular one, they basically start at the edge of your board. I think I'm going to go to the 6.5 and the lightest gray. It is very dark. It actually has had time to dry, and it is very dark, but I'm also going to lighten it up with some extra brush strokes later. But first I want to finish the design. So let's do some dots. And I'm going to aim for the bottom guideline. So that's where I'm lining up all the dots. Okay, I want to do swooshes here, and yes, we should have done that before this, but I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do there, so we are going to do it now. I'm going to take my 3mm and the pearl, the white pearl. I want to have it light here, so I'm going to make a large dot, flip the tool, and drag it up. And then make 2 dots beside it. And do the same thing. And I think I can fit taking the other side of my tool and dot and drag. Like that. Okay, I grabbed the silver paint from Decoart and I have my 3mm tool. And I'm going to walk the dots from the swooshes to the petal. It's a very, very weird paint. It's very, very, very sticky. I want some more yellow dots, so I'm grabbing my 3 again, placing a dot there and there. Just filling up this space a little. Okay. Now it's time for the corners. I think I want to incorporate another mirror there because I really like them. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to measure out the ones that I have, and I'm going to do the same thing kind of as I did there. So with 2 rows of walking the dots. And if your mirror is one size bigger, don't do the inner row of walking the dots. So I think something about around there would be nice. Okay, where's my pencil here? Shall we be precise and measure how far I am away from the corner, just for funsies? I'm just going to line it up with my thing here. Okay, it's that. So it's 1.5 centimeters away from the corner. Yes, I eyeballed that correctly. I'm going to do it in reverse now. So I'm going to start the small walking the dots with the pearl, and then the one next to it is going to be the yellow. So if you have the big ones, I would advise you to just stick to the yellow. I am going to go to the, what am I going to go to? Shall we go to a 2? Sure. So for the first row, that is for me the shortest. So if you have the big triangles, skip this part. If you have the big triangles, well, we're going to go to the 2.5 now and the yellow. And again, walking the dots. So yeah, if you have the big mirrors, this will be your first color of walking the dots. I'm going to go to a brush stroke again. Which one will I use? I think I'm going to use the smaller size, which was, I don't know, the 3 circles, so let's call it a 3. And I think I'm going to go from light to dark, so I'm going to start with the lightest gray. I'm just going to outline it. Then one color darker. again, one color darker. Okay, and for the darkest color, I'm actually grabbing the brush that's one size up, so a little longer. Also going to extend it a little bit more. And pull it all the way in. That finishes off that corner nicely, and I have some space here as well, but then we will fix that. So I'm going to go back to that smaller brush and the yellow, and I'm going to, let's see how many I can fit here. I think I can fit 2. Yeah, I like that, I like that. I'm grabbing the smallest of the brushes that I have. And the color, it's pretty dark one. I think this was the second darkest, right? So let's kind of try the second darkest that I have lightened up now. And I have a little bit of paint on my brush. I'm going to go in the center. And just brush over it. Could be that this is still too dark for what I want though. But we will see how it dries. I like that. I don't know if it's light enough, but I do like it. I'm going to go to the next set, and I'm going to go from out to in. So with the same color, I don't know where I'm going to place my hand, but let's see. I should let it dry first. I'm going to go with this color, so basically the second darkest now. I'm going to go over the outer petals. I'm also doing that to the darkest petals here. Okay. Then we're going a shade lighter. No, I'm actually going to go to the lightest gray right now. Lightest gray. Yes. And I'm going to do the same with these grays here. So those. I'm going one shade darker for these. To brighten it up even more, I'm going to go to my white. Not the pearl, but the white. And I'm going to do that there. I think I'm also going to, let's see if I can do that. Very, very small white highlight. Just kind of in the wider part of that petal. Okay, I'm doing the same thing with these light gray strokes. The white is going over. And it just really helps to, I don't know, bring a little bit more life into the mandala. And I'm going to do the same thing here as well. But I have to wait for the paint to dry there first. To the 4.5 and the white pearl, and I'm going to top dot these. For the dark ones, let's kind of do a gradient. So let's grab the 6.5 first. Oh, maybe we can do the 7. The 7 first, and that's the darkest color. I'm going to go to the second darkest color. I'm going to aim a little bit more towards that swoosh. The next thing that I can do is top dot that row, and I want to use pearl. Let's go to the 4. And if you want to, you could also, the yellow small dots that we made in between here, you could put a yellow shimmer on top if you wanted to. I don't know, maybe I will. I haven't decided yet. So I actually tested something out here. I put that yellow royal flash on top of the yellow dots, and it gives them, it makes them stay that yellow, because here, as you can see, it's a little bit there. It's very pale. It's not as opaque as I would have liked it to be. So I'm just going to put that on top of the yellow dots. And again, you don't have to do that, but I love me my bling. So yeah, again, I'm probably going to do that with the rest of the yellow as well. But for now, I'm going to let it dry. Top dot here, I'm not sure. Maybe I will do a yellow. Actually not sure. I will add some top brush strokes here when this is dry, same as I did here. Yeah, I'm just let it dry a little bit more, and then I will be back. Some top brush strokes on the corner. The lightest gray. I already did the white. Now I'm going one shade darker. And then the darkest one. I actually want to lighten up this one, so I'm grabbing the light gray. Just going to go over this again. What I did do as well was put the yellow flash on top of the yellow walking the dots, with the exception of the center. And I put it here. I didn't put it on here, and I kind of like that contrast a little bit. So I'm going to go to the yellow flash and the 3mm. I'm going to top dot the center ring. Then I am getting the, I think it was the 4.5. Let's do the 5. The 5mm dotting rod and the pearl. I'm going to top dot these larger dots. I actually already removed the guide marks with a baby wipe because I don't need them anymore. So I think this is it so far. I'm going to let it dry and then it's going to be varnished. And I'll show you how I place the mirrors. The varnish is a spray varnish that I get at a local store here. It's just satin finish spray varnish. I will do 2 coats and yeah, then we're ready for the mirror. So I'll be back in just a second. Okay, here she is. She's all varnished and I'm ready to do the mirrors. So I hope I have enough mirrors. I don't know. Let's hope I have enough. So I just use this. It's, I don't know, it's a contact adhesive glue. And I'm going to put, oh, I want to say a little dot. But apparently it's going to be a big dot. But I don't want to do a big dot. I want to do a little dot. Now this is the contact glue that I have. The only downside is that it kind of can leave some strings. So if you see me pulling stuff, it's the glue strings. Okay. No, I have paint on my fingers again. Okay, then we're getting a mirror. Okay, I need 4 more. Okay, and then here she is, all done. I'm so happy with how this one turned out. I think it's so beautiful. I actually want to do more of these, and then instead of a yellow accent, maybe do a red or a hot pink. Let me know if you are going to recreate it. Please consider subscribing, because I would love to have you as part of this YouTube family. And that is then going to be it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends. I hope you have an amazing day, a fabulous evening, happy painting, and I will see you soon for another video. Bye.